Let me tell you this. If you were starting a team and you wanted one guy, I want a guy with a winner's mentality, a guy that can win. Guys that know how to win.
And that's LeBron James.
And that's LeBron.
Because LeBron James, he's
a winner.
LeBron James, often dubbed King James, will go down as one of, if not the, greatest basketball player of all time. Today is a deep dive into some of the more obscure facts. This is 10 things you didn't know about LeBron James.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video.
Number 10. Football.
A man named Bruce Kelker, who was looking for new players for his rec football team, pulled up to a parking lot and noticed a young LeBron playing tag with his friends. He went to them and asked them if they liked football. LeBron replied, "That's my favorite sport." So Kelker asked James and his friends to line up for a 100-yard race. He said that the winner gets to be the team's running back. And what was the result of that race? LeBron ended up winning by over 15 yards. So Kelker really wanted LeBron on his team and told him where to meet for practice. As he was saying that, his mother stopped Kelker and told him that she couldn't afford any of the equipment or take him to the practices. And Kelker replied with that he'll take care of everything and even pick up LeBron for practices and games. Now that's just crazy for someone to notice LeBron's insane talent at such a young age.
Just about everyone who knows LeBron James knows he started making fame as early as high school. He led his basketball team to so many championships and was such a high-scoring player that many already knew he was destined for great things. But not many people know that James didn't just reserve his athletic abilities for the court. At St. Vincent St. Mary's High School, James was also the star of the football team. He was a wide receiver on the team and did exceptionally well. He made the All-State team as early as sophomore even. As a junior, he had racked up a whopping 57 receptions for 1,060 yards, as well as 16 touchdowns. These impressive numbers probably could have set him on a path towards the NFL if that's what he wanted. That same junior year, he would lead his team to the state semifinals with a 10-4 record. That was the same year NCAA football coaching legend Urban Meyer would begin trying to recruit him. Lots of people questioned why he didn't go for the NFL instead. LeBron James was playing in his senior year when he had a wrist injury. The 2-month recovery time drove him to completely drop football so he could focus on his senior year of basketball. That decision probably changed his life forever. This clearly showed where his focus was. Number 9.
You know, I just gotta keep working every day and not let nobody pass me and stay above the top of the rankings.
You know, there's no reason for me to waste time and go look for my father because, you know, right now I'm in a situation where I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. You know, I don't need no help, no father figure.
I was afraid of the top. You know, that's what made me who I am today. It kind of just gave me that structure.
What is your individual right now as a 16-year-old? What's your long-term goal?
To get to the NBA.
We always thought everybody wanted us to lose. Nobody really wanted us to win because, first of all, we were African-American kids.
Do you want to be the best?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone always see the finished product, but if it wasn't for the times before, from age 8 to 15, in those years when I had no cameras around, those are the years that really made me become who I am today.
LeBron James was one of the most highly publicized high school basketball players of all time. No one had seen someone who could play so well at such a young age. During his freshman year alone, he led the team to a state title with a record of 27-0 with an average of 21 points per game. This had been virtually unheard of by a freshman player, let alone any high school player out there. People were so excited to see him play that the high school team literally filled the university arenas. In fact, in order to keep up with the people's demand to see them play, they'd often play at the University of Akron. Over the course of his high school career, he would continue to dominate in basketball. His games were almost always televised and he would appear on a number of media outlets. This attention to high school basketball literally changed the way people look at high school games and has increased media attention around potential young stars. During this time, it was almost impossible to get drafted by the NBA straight out of high school. These days, it's a bit more prevalent. Back then, it was somewhat of a big risk for teams. LeBron ended up being drafted out of high school and was even picked first. James has mentioned where he might have gone to college if he had stayed, and says that he would have gone to the Buckeyes to play for Ohio State. Number 8. Students versus teachers.
How good is LeBron James? Well, simply put, Dan, LeBron James is the best high school basketball player I have ever seen. And I think as a 17-year-old, he's better than Kobe Bryant was at the same age. Why? Because he is just as skilled as Kobe Bryant was, but he is more physically imposing. At 6'7", 235 pounds, he is a man right now, and he's got an extraordinary skill level.
In the 8th grade, James's basketball team had a students versus teachers game. Suddenly, he got the hands on the ball, and that's when he threw down his very first slam dunk. The school and the teachers were absolutely floored. It was then that many knew that there was something special about him. He would go on to high school, already a prime player, and many knew his name. Number 7. Leaving his hometown.
LeBron's basketball is more than a game. It is business. And to his deepest desires as a free agent, he can elect to stay in Cleveland or move on. Only he knows what he will do.
Later in his professional career, when LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers to play for Miami Heat, he left many fans extremely hurt. They weren't sure how to feel about his leaving. But in an hour segment explaining his rationale, it only made things worse. Many credit this moment as when NBA players started leaving their hometowns to go play for super teams. This free agency decision was a huge deal and would impact the NBA forever. The other reason why this was such a huge deal was because he decided to leave just after being awarded the league's MVP. Leaving a team at a time like that is pretty unprecedented. Number 6. JayZ.
Okay, I got you. I got you, all right? So come real soon, all right? When you got school Monday? By the time you get out of school on Monday, you have it.
LeBron James and legendary rapper JayZ are very close friends. LeBron has spoken about JayZ being like a brother to him. This powerful relationship has proved to be useful time and again. Years ago, Washington Wizards forward Stevenson went after LeBron. He came out and tried to tell the world that LeBron is overrated. The star basketball player didn't even respond. But when JayZ's new work came out, it was clear LeBron wasn't happy. A diss track had been created to put Stevenson in his place. In the next game between the Cavs and the Wizards, Stevenson definitely tried to get under LeBron's skin. Instead, the star basketball player put up some of his biggest numbers yet. Number 5. Upbringing.
After the season ended, his coach, Frankie Walker, heard stories that LeBron was missing school on a regular basis. Frankie confronted Gloria about it, and she admitted her son needed a more stable environment. She agreed to have LeBron stay with Frank and his family to provide the structure that young LeBron's life had thus far lacked.
LeBron James didn't always have the easiest childhood. Before becoming a basketball star, he faced a lot of challenges. When he was a little boy, his mom Gloria was trying to find a more stable living situation for her and her son. During this time, James actually lived with his Pee Wee football coach. It was in this time that James credited his old coach Frank Walker for introducing him to the game of basketball. This decision by Walker definitely changed James's life forever. It was instrumental in his new life and, of course, would lead to his biggest successes. After missing 80 plays days of 4th grade that year, basketball helped keep him in school. He didn't miss a single day the next year of school and went to do very well academically. Number 4. Net worth.
All right, ESPN put out something that I absolutely love, and it is LeBron's Lakers salary breakdown. And in case you want to question what you're doing with your life, now's probably the time. 4 seasons, he's going to make about $153.3 million.
Today, LeBron has one of the highest net worths in the world amongst paid athletes. This was after about a dozen years of pro basketball, of course. While James was a huge star, he was never the highest paid player on any of his rosters until he was 31. When he first played with the Cavaliers, he was playing with an older and injury-racked Shaquille O'Neal who had had years of playing under his belt and was going to make a lot more money. Then when he went to Miami Heat, he agreed to take less so that he could become part of a super team with a number of other talented players. Number 3. Sports Illustrated cover.
We all met LeBron same way. Actually, may have been his first cover, this very magazine. The fresh-faced kid who had the ball next to his face and the green bandana to match his high school uniform. Y'all remember the photo? With the description next to the name that said the chosen one.
Just after turning 17 back in 2002, LeBron James was put on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high school player. In this infamous cover story, he was deemed the chosen one. The name has stuck ever since. LeBron has completely embraced this nickname and even has it tattooed across his back. Had the NBA approved it, LeBron almost went to play before even graduating high school. Of course, he understood the importance of graduating at least high school and decided to hold off. That being said, the league had to change their minds and made it a rule that you had to graduate high school before you could be drafted into the NBA. LeBron went on to play his senior year. They went and won a third championship. They also toured around and played other high-profile teams. Many of their games were televised and were picked up by major broadcasters such as Time Warner. This was a massive deal, not only for LeBron, but for the entire school and for high school basketball in general. Number 2, Nike.
Best business / financial decision you made. It could be
I mean,
investment,
it's signing with Nike and getting down with Beats.
Back in 2015, LeBron made a huge business move that has since changed the way companies do their branding and sponsorships with athletes. At the time, Nike signed LeBron on to do a lifetime deal with Nike. While Nike has done everything it can to keep exact figures under wraps, one source was able to explain the significance of the deal. According to one Nike official, LeBron did very well on the deal. In fact, this official said that his sponsorship brand deal was the largest the company has ever made in its 44-year history. Considering the other athletes that Nike sponsors, this